Shalom Aleichem, Erev Tov, good evening. We are back studying the laws of Teshuvah and Rabbenu HaRambam's Mishneh Torah. Before you open up your Chumashim, let me explain to you what we're going to be doing. So, if you open up your Mishneh Torah to the laws of Teshuvah, which in our edition is found on page 78, over the years, we've studied together chapter 1, chapter 2. We've studied together the whole book of Teshuvah, but in recent years, Vidui, Kapara, Teshuvah, asking forgiveness from people. Last year, we spent a significant amount of time on chapter 3 and 4. So the weighing of Zechuyot versus Averot. We mentioned the 24 things that hold you back from doing Teshuvah. So we ended off last year with the halachot of Lashon Hara, of improper speech. And I debated tremendously whether we should continue into chapter 5 and 6. I'm still not sure if we should continue into chapter 5 and 6. But I knew last year that you needed another year of Limud Torah before we got to chapter 5 and 6. We especially needed another year of Rabbi Yonatan Halevy to get us ready for chapter 5 and chapter 6. I'm also scared of chapter 5 and chapter 6. In fact, if you're going to ask me, chapter 5 and chapter 6 of the Rambam's Mishneh Torah, in my opinion, is perhaps the most difficult chapters of the Mishneh Torah around. How about we read the first chapter, and then we'll go back to Bereshit. Okay? So read with me what Rabbenu HaRambam writes. I am now with you on page 82 at the bottom of the page. 82 at the bottom of the page, Perek Chamishim. Someone asked me a question. If they watch the video on YouTube by saying a bracha, answering Amen. If you're seeing this on Zoom, you should say Amen. If you're seeing it on YouTube, it's not live. Don't say Amen. Yeah? Says Rabbenu HaRambam, Halacha Aleph. Reshut kol adam netuna lo. Everybody in the world has free will. Now you know why I'm scared of this chapter? אם רצה להטות עצמו לדרך טובה ולהיות צדיק, if a person wants to tilt themselves towards a good path and be a tzaddik, הרשות בידו. You have the permission to do that. ואם רצה להטות עצמו לדרך רעה ולהיות רשע, and if a person wants to lean towards the path of evil and be a rasha, הרשות בידו. You have permission to do that. hu shekatuv b'Torah, that's what it says in the Torah, hen ha'adam haya ka'achad mimenu, lada'at tov v'ra, that man, really we should read Bereshit, that man will be like one of us who knows good and bad, kelomar, hen min zeh shel adam haya echad ba'olam, there's one type of species on earth, it's a human being. Ve'en lo min sheni domeh lo b'zeh inyan, and there's no other creature on earth that is similar to human beings in this matter. שיהיה הוא מעצמו, בדעתו ובמחשבתו, יודע הטוב והרע. There is nobody who in his own mind, with his own thoughts, knows good and evil. ועושה כל מה שהוא חפץ, and does everything he wants. ואין לו מי שיעכב על ידו מלעשות הטוב והרע. And there is nobody aside from you who stops you from doing good or bad. וכיוון שכן הוא, פן ישלח ידו. And because that's the case, then the Torah continues, the next pasuk. We'll read those pasukim inside Bereshit. Rabbenu HaRambam continues, Al ya'avor b'machashavtecha, do not let it pass through your mind. דבר זה שאומרים טיפשי האומות ורוב גולמי בני ישראל. It's very Sephardic language. He says, don't let it enter your mind. What most people, most of the stupid people of the Goyim and the idiots of the Jewish people. That most of them think שהקדוש ברוך הוא גוזר על האדם מתחילת בריאתו להיות צדיק או רשע. That הקדוש ברוך הוא decides for a person from the beginning, am I going to be a צדיק or am I going to be a רשע? את יושבת בדיוק מתחת למזגן. אז אם תעברי לשם, או לפה, לצד הזה, לא יפריע. That a person will know that הקדוש ברוך הוא decides for a person when they're born whether they're going to be a tzaddik or a rasha. Don't be stupid. Don't think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided when you were born whether you're going to be good or bad. Who decides if you're good or bad? You. Only you. En hadavar ken. The situation is not like this. אלא כל אדם ואדם ראוי להיות צדיק כמשה רבנו, רשע כי ירבעם. Everybody in the world can be a tzaddik like Moshe Rabbenu or a rasha like Yerovam. Tell me Yerovam.
After Shlomo dies, he split Bnei Israel after fighting with HaRambam and everything like that.
And what do? What does he cause the Jews to do?
They split apart.
And then
He changes dates and stuff.
And they end up worshipping Avodah Zarah, right? Ultimately, Yerovam causes them to be over the Avodah Zarah. O Chacham, O Sachar. You can decide to be a Chacham or a stupid person. O Rachaman, O Achzari. To be compassionate and kind or to be cruel. O Kilai, O Shoah. Okay, these words, right now I'm going to, let's just say, stingy and generous. Use those words. V'chen Shaar kol hadeot. All the other character traits of a person, all of them are dependent on you. Not on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have free will, and because of that, you can make choices. Anachat Bet continues. ואין לו מי שיכפהו ולא גוזר עליו ולא מי שמושכו לאחד משני הדרכים, אלא הוא מעצמו ומדעתו נוטה לאיזה דרך שירצה. There is no one who forces you how to behave or who to be except for you. You push yourself to what you want to be. Hu שירמיה אומר, that's what Yirmiyah means when he says, מפי עליון לא תצא הרעות והטוב. כלומר, אין הבורא גוזר על האדם לא להיות טוב ולא להיות רע. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't decide for you to be good or to be bad. Nothing. וכיוון שכן הוא, and because this is the case, נמצא זה החוטא, הוא הפסיד על עצמו. This sinner has lost for himself. ולפיכך ראוי לו לבכות ולקונן על מה שעשה לנפשו וגמלה הרעה. And therefore you should cry over yourself. Why did I cause myself to be so bad? Why did I cause myself to do this avera? Why am I making these bad choices? הוא שכתוב אחריו, that's what it says afterwards. מה יתונן ויאמר נצדק נחפשה דרכנו ונחורה ונשובה אליך. מה יתונן אדם חי? גבר על חטאיו. What is a person going to cry about? He's going to cry about his עבירות. חזר ואמר, and he repeats, הואילו שותנו בידינו, ומדעתנו עשינו כל הרעות. ראוי לנו לחזור בתשובה ולעזוב רשענו, שהרשות עתה בידינו. You're sitting here today, a week before Rosh Hashanah, tonight is going to be Rosh Hashanah, 1 week from now, and say, I don't want to be this person that I am right now. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, what are you waiting for? If you don't want to be the person you are right now, if you don't want to do that one thing that you do right now, change it. Who's stopping you? You're stopping you. What are you waiting for? You're waiting for me to do something? I didn't do it in the first place. I didn't make you that way. You made yourself that way. You need to fix it. That's exactly what it means. Hu shekatuv acharav. Nachpesa derachenu venachora venashuva ad Adonai. That's the pasuk. I'm going to look into my ways. I'm going to find out what I did wrong, and I'm going to return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, says the prophet. That's the job of a person. So now the Rambam summarizes in Halakha Gimel, he summarizes everything he just said. V'ikar zeh, this principle, this foundation. Ikar gadol hu. It's a big, big rule of the Torah. Give me 1 second. It's a big rule of the Torah. What is the rule? Hu amud haTorah v'amitzvah. It's the foundation of the Torah and the mitzvot. Shneimar, it says in the Torah, Moshe Rabbenu says, "R'eh natati lifnecha hayom et ha'chaim v'et ha'tov v'et ha'mavet v'et ha'ra." HaKadosh says, I gave to you today life and death, good and bad. V'katuv, and it says, "R'eh anochi notן לכם hayom beracha u'klala." I'm putting in front of you blessing and curse. Klomar, meaning שהרשות בידכם. The permission on how to behave, it's yours. וכל שיחפוץ האדם לעשות ממעשה בני האדם עושה. And anything you want to do that human beings can do, you can do. בין טובים בין רעים, whether you choose good behavior or bad behavior. ומפני זה העניין נאמר מי ייתן והיה לבבם זה להם. כלומר שאין הבורא כופה בני אדם ולא גוזר עליהם לעשות טובה או רעה, אלא ליבם מסור להם. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, your heart is in your own hands. I wish that you will do the right thing. This is Ikar Gadol Hu, says HaRambam. It's a big principle. Amud HaTorah v'amitzvah. This is the pillar of the Torah and the mitzvah. So now that you know this, we need to begin to understand what exactly is man's choice in this world. What does it mean to have free will? And I don't now mean to go into some cliche Jewish understanding of free will. I'm not here for that kind of shiur. But the Rambam has problems with this. Look in Halakha Daled, Halakha Hey. The Rambam says, how could it be that I have free will? I was created by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows the future. He knows everything. How could it be He knows what I'm going to do, but I still have a choice to do it? Okay, that's going to be for tomorrow's shiur. For right now, you have to get into your mind today's shiur. Today's shiur began with Halakha Aleph. Halakha Aleph begins with the book of Bereshit, chapter 3. The book of Bereshit, chapter 3, is one of the most important stories that we have in the whole Torah. And most people don't understand it. So do me a favor, right now we're going to pause the laws of Teshuvah of the Rambam. In order to understand what the Rambam wants from our life, we have to open up the Mikra. In the Mikra, in the Chumash, we're going to see exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. Let's read the story. Bereshit, go to the end of chapter 2. Yeah. What? Perek. In Art Scroll, page 12 or 14, we did already all of chapter 2 pretty much with Rabbi Yonatan Halevy. But owning the earth and working the earth and manipulating the earth for the better. I didn't come today to give a shiur about that. For that shiur, you have to come on Shabbat. What do you do if you're stuck in Zoom on Shabbat? I don't have a solution to that question. I don't know. But if I had to tell you, on Shabbat, I teach all of the things I would never record. Like Sudash Lashid last week. That will never be in a recording. So, Bezat Hashem, Jacob is serious FOMO over here. Last Sudash Lashid was pretty sensational, if I might say so myself. What? Whoa, what was that? What was Rabbi Yitzchak? Oh, Biako. I knew that voice. Not fair. Okay, Baruch Hashem, I recently tested the theory. The airplanes, they still fly. So, Baruch Hashem, you're welcome to try them. Tov. At the end of chapter 2, HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates a woman from a man. Correct? I heard a rabbi recently on, of course, on social media. But he was the kind of rabbi I didn't assume would be on social media. A very Hasidic rabbi. And he said, a woman does not have to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You hear what I'm saying? So a woman has to believe in her husband, and her husband has to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And if he doesn't,
then we're in big trouble with that. Now the best part was he quoted the Gemara. And I looked at this rabbi and I said, wow, you're so old, but you didn't yet begin to understand our Torah. How could you say such a silly thing like that? So if you want to know the truth about that, Rabbenu Avraham ben HaRambam, he explains the Gemara properly. But for right now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates a woman, and this woman that he creates becomes the best thing that happens to Adam HaRishon, and the worst thing that happens to Adam HaRishon at the same time. And throughout history, you find the same thing. A woman, Rabbanit, welcome, Shalom Aleichem. A woman can be either the best thing that happens to a man, or the worst thing that happens to a man. Either one of those things, the same way that a man can be for a woman. The best thing in the world, or the worst thing in the world. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates woman, and he says a pasuk that every parent loves. Al ken ya'azov ish et aviv et imo, ve'davak be'ishto, ve'hayu levasar echad. That therefore every man will leave his father and his mother and will cling to his wife, and they will become one flesh. But this is not a random pasuk that's beautiful. This is a halacha. A man and a woman are related to their parents. They are the children of their parents. But a man and a wife are the same person in halakha. They are not related to each other. They are the same person, period. In the laws of edut, of testimony, you see this clearly. A man and his wife are the same person. They're not two people that are married to each other. A marriage that doesn't reach a place, that takes time to build a marriage. But a marriage that does not reach a place where they become one person, it's not really what the Torah intended when it talks about marriage. Two people can try. Shalom Bayit is very challenging. To have a proper relationship requires two people who know how to work with each other. Most important, two people who believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And most important, two people who have da'at. If they don't have da'at, then there's nothing you can do. Sometimes a person is married to a very nice person, but they're lacking da'at. If they would have asked before they got married, you would say, if you want to become one person with this person, you can't. But now that you're there, okay, now that's what the Rabbanit's job is for. But at the end of the day, Adam HaRishon was intended to become one with his wife. And the next thing the pasuk tells us, something very strange. Vayu shenehem arumim, both of them were naked, Adam v'ishto, Adam and his wife, velo yitboshashu, and they were not embarrassed. They had no shame for being naked. Perek Gimel enters the snake. The snake. By the way, in the Torah, there's a third chapter. Are there chapters in the Torah? No, there are no chapters in the Torah. Who put Perek Gimel? The church.
The Christian.
The church, yeah. The Christians made us Perek Gimel. It's very weird that you start chapter 3 in the middle of a story. Okay. והנחש היה ערום מכל חיית השדה. The snake, look at Art Scroll for a second. It translated in Pasuk 25, Arum meant naked. In Pasuk number 1, it translates Arum as cunning. Cunning. That's the same word. How do you translate it, the same word, two sentences apart, differently? So, the snake was very tricky. Mikol chayat hasadeh, from all the animals in the field. Asher asa Adonai Elohim, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu made. Vayomer el haisha, and he tells the woman, Af ki amar Elohim lo techelu mikol etz hagan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told you, don't eat from any of the trees of the garden. Vatomer haisha lanachash. The woman tells the snake, Mi peri etz hagan nochel. No, we're allowed to eat of any of the trees of the garden. מפרי העץ אשר בתוך הגן אמר אלוהים לא תאכלו ממנו ולא תיגעו בו פן תמותון. But the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, don't eat from it and don't touch it because maybe you will die. Now HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them not to touch it?
No. She thought,
this is a famous teaching of our HaShamayim that she added to the Torah. Not really she. He added to the Torah. And when a person adds to the Torah, they really end up taking away from the Torah. The snake tells the woman, no, you're not going to die. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that on the day that you eat this fruit, your eyes will be open And then you will be Kelohim. How did our school translate that? And then you will be like God. Yodei tov v'ra. Who knows, you will end up knowing good and bad. For those who were in my shul yesterday, a few of you were in my shul yesterday? My shul yesterday was all about English translations. Look at the fact that every translation in the world is a commentary. Because that translation is incorrect. This English of this pasuk is incorrect. Meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu is afraid of you eating the tree. Why? If you eat the tree, then what will happen to you? You will know good and bad, just like God. That's how Art Scroll translates. The lady sees that the tree is very good for eating. It's even beautiful for the eyes to look at. And the tree was desirable even on an intellectual level. And she goes against the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and she takes from the tree, and she eats it. And she gives it to the man who's with her, and he eats it as well. And their eyes opened up, and they noticed that they were naked. And they sewed together leaves and made themselves some kind of clothing. Why were they putting on clothes now? Now they were aware they were naked, they were embarrassed. And they heard the sound of HaKadosh Baruch Hu walking in the garden toward evening. HaKadosh Baruch Hu walks in gardens? No, this is again like what we spoke about on Shabbat, right? Shabbat we spoke about Chachmei Ashkenaz and their understanding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu having a body or not. And what do they do when they hear HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And they go hide in the trees. They go hide in the bushes. And HaKadosh calls out to Adam, where are you? I heard your voice in the garden. And I became scared because I'm naked. And I'm hiding. Hid. And he says, who told you you were naked? Well, you ate from the tree you were not supposed to eat from. The man, what does he do? Adam didn't yet learn the 5th chapter of Teshuvah of the Rambam, that the only person who can dictate your behavior is you. And he says, my wife is the reason I ate from the tree. And HaKadosh tells the woman, Mazot asit, what did you do? Vatomer Aisha, hanachash, hisiani vauchel. No, it was the snake. This is like Chad Gadia. You know that Chad Gadia? You know, we keep going, everyone eats everybody till... There's some difficult words here. Skip to Pasuk 22. Vayomer Adonai Elohim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Hen ha'adam haya ka'achad mimenu. Adam has become unique among the creatures. Lada tov v'ra, and now he knows tov v'ra. I ignored Art Scroll's translation because again, Art Scroll's translation is wrong. What does Art Scroll say? Man has become like the unique one among us. Who's that? Like God. God is saying he's become like me. Ve'ata, and now penishlach yado v'lakach gam etz ha'chaim v'achal v'chai le'olam. Maybe he's also going to send his hand and take from the tree of life and live forever. וישלחהו אדוני אלוהים מגן עדן, הכתוב sends him out of Gan Eden, לעבוד את האדמה אשר לוקח משם, to work the earth that he came from. ויגרש את האדם, and he drives out the man, וישכן מקדם לגן עדן את הקירובים ואת להט החרב, המתהפכת לשמור את דרך עץ החיים. Okay, this is already a pasuk that is beyond my shiur today. You ready to understand the story? Because this story is very, 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 very important. But in order to understand this story, you have to understand something else first. Achanan, you could bring me a Gemara Chagiga, please. Quickly. One. Sure, maybe only one. It's probably on the left side here. Look here. Start here. One day somebody will come and put the Gemara in order. Baruch, can you look behind you if you see Chagiga, please? If not, I'll use my phone. I think it's right there, bro. I think it's on the... Thank you, bro. We're going to practice alacrity. If you want to open up, you want to see Sefaria?
Yeah.
So maybe I should use a... Sorry for all the tircham. I'll use a Gemara that I could tell you where to look. If you go to Chagiga, page 13, so you want to open up Sefaria.org. There's a AI developer, Sofer AI, very special guy, but he just today created a plugin that connects your ChatGPT with Sefaria. So your ChatGPT can look things up in Sefaria for you. צריכים לדעת לבקר את ה... Okay, חגיגה. So you're going to go to Talmud, click חגיגה. And then you want to go to the bottom of page 13a, I think. Let me see. 1 second, I'll tell you. My Safari is being slow. Okay, go to 12b. 12b, number 4. We're not going to get stuck here because I can't afford to get stuck here tonight. Amar Rabbi Yehuda said, Shnei Rekiim hen, there are 2 heavens, firmaments. I don't know what a firmament is. Shneimar hen l'Adonai Elohecha HaShamayim u'shmei HaShamayim. Because it has the heaven and the heaven of the heavens. Yes? Resh Lakish said, Shiv'a, there are 7 heavens. Velu hen, you have a Vilon, Rakia, Shechakim, Zevun, Ma'on, Machon, Aravot. Now what are these 7 heavens that you have? They start talking about all of them. What is the Vilon? What is the Zevul? That's number 6. What is the Ma'on? That's where the angels singing. And number 8. Number 9. 10. Machon. Keep going down.
Different levels of
Aravot. Go down 14. Ofanim. Look at 15. V'choshech. V'anan. V'arafel makifin oto. And darkness and clouds and fog surround HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shneimar, like it says. Okay. Now the Chachamim have a problem. Umika chashocha kameh shemaya. But is there darkness in heaven? Meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sitting in the dark. V'aktiv, it already says in the book of Daniel, Hu galea mikata u'mesaterata yada ma b'chashocha unhora emeshere. He reveals deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in the dark, or he's in the light? Who's right, Tehillim or Daniel? Say the Chachamim, lo kashya. It's not a problem. Page 13a. Ha bevate gavae. Ha bevate varae. One is talking about inside, one is talking about outside. What does that mean? Inside of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's abode, there's light. Outside of it, there's darkness. Okay, Amar Rav Bar Yaakov. Rav Bar Yaakov says, Od rakiya echad yesh lemala mirashei achayot. There's one more heaven even higher. Look at number 2. Ad kan yesh lecha reshut ledaber. Chachamim say, okay, no, shh. You can't talk anymore. You have no permission to speak anymore about this. Mikan ve'elach, from here on out, en lecha reshut ledaber. You don't have permission to speak about it. Sheken katuv besefer Ben Sirah, because it's written in the book of Ben Sirah. Remember I told you Ben Sirah? From the Apocrypha, Sfrim Chitzonim. במופלא ממך אל תדרוש, ובמכוסה ממך אל תחקור. That which is beyond you, don't look into. במה שהורשת התבונן, אין לך עסק בנסתרות. Only look into the matters that you are allowed to look into, and the things that are hidden from you, don't get involved in them. Okay. Good, you got it? I see everybody sitting here looking at me. I told you I'm afraid of this chapter of HaRambam, Laws of Teshuvah. Now you have to ask yourself, what on earth does this have to do with the HaRambam Laws of Teshuvah? Because this has to do with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is what you have to understand to begin to understand. And I'm trying tonight to teach you something that I usually would teach you off of a camera. I'm trying to teach it to you in front of a camera because we need to understand the 5th chapter. I can't skip it. I thought of skipping the 5th chapter, but then the 6th chapter is this. And I thought of skipping the 6th chapter because those 2 are the complicated ones. But the 7th chapter begins, and now that you understand chapter 5 and 6, I can tell you chapter 7. And I figured I can't skip the rest of Laws of Teshuvah of the Rambam, so you have no choice, and I have no choice but to sit together and try to study. But to try to study this, you have to focus. You're able to focus with me? Good. Let's try to do something together. And if we fail, it's my fault, not your fault. Okay? Let's look together in the file that I attached to you here, called Homo Mysticus. Let's see, should we start with Homo Mysticus or Moed Nevuchi? Let's start with Homo Mysticus, and I won't get stuck. I'm going to tell you as quickly as I can. So open up Homo Mysticus. I didn't attach the whole book. I just attached the papers you need so you don't get lost. You see it in your Google Classroom? In the Google Classroom, there was an invitation that went out. The bottom of the invitation, there are files attached, and one of the files says any of the classrooms that you're in should have it, except for maybe the London one. Sorry, we need to get a new year, new commitments. See it? Yes? Let's do this one together. Chacham Fa'or wrote this book so you wouldn't understand it. I'm convinced. You wouldn't. Yes. Today I had the zechut. I had to reach out to Rabbi Fa'or for help because there are some things here that I need help with. And I'm very grateful for his time. For those of you who have ever reached out to him, he's very approachable, and I appreciate him for that. So much so, I even wrote for myself a summary. Where did I put it? This will help me. This will help me go through it with you better. Who can read the title of chapter 2? Page 53. Part 2, imagination. I'll read that part. Who can read Latin?
actually give it a shot.
Yeah, 53, see?
Opposite.
Did I send you the redacted one or the whole one? Yeah, so what's on top of the word revelation? What does it say?
Deus absconditus, homo absconditus.
That one. What is Deus?
Yeah.
No, God. The hidden God. The hidden man. Okay? So homo like a human. And Deus like Dios. Yeah, same word. Revelation. In the sense that God can make himself known to man is the cornerstone of the Torah and the Maimonidean intellectual apparatus. The cornerstone of the Torah is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can show himself to people. Basic understanding of the Torah tells you that. Although God, as he is to himself, I'm skipping the words I can't say, is a hidden God and totally inaccessible, the whole point of the Hebrew scripture is that God does reveal himself to mankind. So even though it's obvious from the Torah that we can't know HaKadosh Baruch Hu as he is, but we can know whatever he will show us of him. Like he tells Moshe Rabbenu, you will see my back, but not my front. Meaning, I will show you what you can see, but not more than what you can see. God's essence cannot be known to human, but human is privy to discern God through revelation. Our HaShamayim tell us that the world is a pitch dark night. That's the world. It's black, choshech. And we are walking around in this darkness. Our HaShamayim tell us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's inner chambers are full of light, and the whole world around him is darkness. Where do we live? In the inner chamber or in the darkness?
Yeah.
In the darkness. For sure, we're in the darkness. So what do you do with the inner chambers and the darkness? How do you see in the dark? With light. So how can you see a little bit of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Our Chachamim tell us that there's lightning. It's my third time. That there's lightning. Let me read to you from the Moreh Nevuchim. It's attached here in English. HaRambam says he would be illuminated by flashes of lightning, rapidly succeeding each other, and therefore he would appear to be in continuous light with no interruption. To another, the lightning flashes only once during his entire night. There are also some who, from one lightning flash to another, experience long or short intervals. There are also some that cannot come up to the level of having their night illuminated by lightning, but by a radiant body or some type of rock that is iridescent by night. Says Rabbenu HaRambam that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, some people see lightning all the time. They see HaKadosh all the time. Some of our prophets, they see HaKadosh Baruch Hu sometimes. In between the lightning, it's dark for them. But there is lightning and lightning and lightning. Some of the people are on such a low level that they don't even get to see lightning. They have some kind of magical stone, like a glow-in-the-dark flashlight, and it lights up for them whatever they can see, like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. That Sorcerer's Stone, in the original English, is actually Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. The Philosopher's Stone is actually a term used in philosophy of some kind of light that lets you see certain things. There are many levels of people who see HaKadosh Baruch Hu in different flashes of light. On page 54, Rabbi Eliezer, he taught that the original light that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world with was so bright that you can see from one side of the universe to the other side of the universe. The Reshaim cannot see the light. Reshaim b'choshech yidamu. But this light was taken away from the world. And la'atid lavo, in the future, this light is reserved for the tzaddikim in the future. So this light of knowing HaKadosh Baruch Hu existed, it once lit up the whole world, and now there will be a time in the future that people will be able to see. Rabbenu HaRambam continues on page 55. Even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light is always shining, we can choose to turn away from it. So whenever in the Torah it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is hidden from us, it does not actually mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is hidden from us, but rather That we are turning away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and because of that, He is hidden. Look at the bottom, page 55. Deus absconditus is human hiding from God, not God hiding from human. Because human refuses to let himself be touched by the light of reason, the light of reason, the intellect, the session, is the active intellect which connects us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Homo absconditus, the human being, is more dangerous than all the other species in the animal kingdom. The most dangerous animal on earth is the human being who has turned away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There is no HaKadosh Baruch Hu who turns away from us. Whenever HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks that he's turned away from us, meaning the Jewish people, or the people in general, they don't want me anymore, so now I'm hidden from them. The most dangerous people on earth are the ones that are hiding from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This part you understand so far? Good. Pages 56 and 57, they're a little bit esoteric, a little bit philosophical. Let's suffice it to say that according to the Rambam, you never describe HaKadosh Baruch Hu by what he is. Rather, you always explain HaKadosh Baruch Hu by what he's not. I can't tell you HaKadosh Baruch Hu is this. I can only tell you he is not that. Yeah, so that's the way the Rambam explains. I'm not going to tell you what he is, just what he's not. Look at the bottom of page 56. Yeah, that's when our rabbis say, if it wasn't for the Nevi'im who said those words, we would never say them. Yeah. The situation may be compared to someone who imagines that an elephant, what is an elephant? Now, tell you what an elephant looks like. Big ears, like Pinocchio. It doesn't look like Pinocchio. What color is he? Gray, maybe brown a little bit, depending where you're at. Okay. Imagine a person who imagines an elephant. I know what an elephant is. An elephant is a 3-winged beast with one leg. His body is see-through, and he lives in the deep part of the ocean. He swims like a fish. He flies like a bird. And he talks like a human being. Is that an elephant or is that an elephant? If I tell you I believe in elephants, and you ask me what is an elephant, and I tell elephant has 3 wings, 1 leg, swims in the ocean, flies like a bird, talks like a human being, do I really believe in elephants? No, rather, what do I believe in? Whatever creature I imagine. Says Rabbenu HaRambam, if you don't know HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you just believe in him, and you think he has wings and sits on a throne and a big beard and a hat, I don't know what you think HaKadosh Baruch Hu thinks like. If that's the God you believe in, you're like the guy who believes in an elephant who swims in the ocean with 3 wings. Because you don't know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You've only imagined HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's very, very dangerous when we allow people's imaginations to control their minds. Because the only thing that I have that is pure, that is clear, that connects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is my intellect that knows HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hence the reason the Rambam begins the Mishnah Torah, a person has to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because most of the people who believe in God believe in an idol they created. In their mind, of course. But the idol, whatever you think HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you think of a pit, that's your idol. That's not HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You must know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now that you know pages 56 and 57, come with me. Imagine this story. When I first met my wife, I was in a hotel lobby. And they told me that this lady is coming to meet me. I never saw her before. And I was in a hotel in King George Street in Yerushalayim. I'm waiting in the hotel. And the Rabbenu, she got the wrong address because she wasn't listening. Yeah. There are 3 hotels with the same name in Yerushalayim. There are 3 different streets. You have to choose which one are you going to. She went to the one she felt like she wanted to go to. And I'm in the one that they told her to go to. And every girl who walks to the door, who looks religious, I say, are you Devorah? Are you Devorah? Are you Devorah? Are you Devorah? And one girl even said, do I look like Devorah? I'm like, relax. I'm just, how am I supposed to know? I don't know who's, yeah. Now they told her that I was wearing a blue tie. Every guy with a blue tie. Is that Yonatan? Is that Yonatan? Is that Yonatan? That's not knowing who my wife is. Imagine today, 10 women come to the door. Is there a chance I don't know which one of them is my wife? There's not a chance. So to know means, just like you know which one of those 10 people is your wife, you know what is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That means to know. the most a human being can know. It takes a lot of work to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a very serious thing to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But most people don't take the time to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu the way they know their husband or their wife. They just believe in some fairy tale that they call HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, why is this important? Because imagination in the Jewish tradition is the opposite of logic, of reason. Now, imagination is important. There's room for imagination. There's room for symbolism. Those things are important. But imagination at the end of the day is the enemy of our mind. What did the famous man say? Someone who can cause you to believe absurdities. Voltaire, Voltaire Yamach Shemo said, somebody who can cause you to believe in absurdities can cause you to commit atrocities. Why? The moment that your mind is broken, it's broken. So now, yeah? But that's part of the atrocity. And I'm worried because I built you up till here. Okay, let's see what we'll do before Slichot start. Now enters Rabbenu HaRambam in the Moreh Nevuchim. Rambam Moreh Nevuchim has a very difficult question. Rambam says he was approached. This is chapter 2 of the Moreh Nevuchim. If you go home, it's essay 1, part 1, chapter 2. I attached the English Moreh Nevuchim if you want. I attached the pages that you need in the Google Classroom, but you don't have to go there, just in case you want to look at it on your own. Says the Rambam, and I'm reading, Rambam wrote Moreh Nevuchim in Arabic. There are many Hebrew translations. I have Harav Kapach's translation too. I'm reading from a more modern Hebrew translation that will help me translate for you better. Okay? Says the Rambam, Lifnei shanim, many years ago, Hikshali adam melumad kushya mufla'a. A man asked me a very wondrous question. Now, we're not sure if the Rambam is being sarcastic, okay? ראוי לעיין בקושיה ובתשובתנו לפתרונה. It's worth looking at the question and the solution. He says, before I explain to you the answer to the question, I have to first teach you a Hebrew word. לפני שאפרט את הקושיה ופתרונה, אקדים, make an introduction, שכל דובר עברית, everyone who knows Hebrew, יודע, knows, שהמונח אלוהים, the word Elohim means 3 things. God, a judge,
Power.
close, angels, angels, a shaliach, a messenger, the thing that Elohim are those 3 things. Eloha, Malachim, Shoftim, or Manhigim. In general, any leaders could be called, yeah? That's the word Elohim. Yeah? Like the Bnei HaElohim in Bereshit. Like Elohim that sit in a Bedin. Elohim, the judges that sit there.
But Elohim is Din, no?
Why is Elohim Din? I'm not a Mikubal, but why Elohim is Din? Because it's connected. The judgment, the judges are called Elohim. Good? וכבר ביאר אונקלוס הגר, עליו השלום. And Onkelos, the convert, already explained to us. The Rambam uses the word hager as a compliment. ואמת מה שביאר, and it's true what Onkelos explains, שבפסוק והייתם כאלוהים יודעי טוב ורע, that you will be like Elohim who know good and bad. הכוונה, not to God like Art Scroll mistranslated, that you'll be like God who knows good and bad, says the Rambam. הכוונה למשמעות האחרונה is the last definition of it. תרגם, Onkelos explains, uthon, you will be כרב רבין, like great people, like politicians, government leaders. That's what you will be like. You will know tov v'ra the way politicians know tov v'ra. It's very important what I'm explaining to you now. What I'm telling you now. Leader, why is someone a leader? He's a politician. It's a negative phrase. It's not a positive one. Rav Ravin are like, it's a gava there in that leadership. Now that you heard this, now the Rambam is going to tell you the question. ולך שהקדמו the meaning of this munach. So while you explain this word, now let me tell the question. Amar HaMakshe, the person asked me, יראה מפשוטם של מקראות, it seems like from the basic פסוקים בבראשית, שהכוונה הראשונה באשר לאדם הייתה שיהיה כשאר בעלי החיים, that a human being should be like other animals. בלא שכל ובלא מחשבה, ולא יבחין בין טוב לרע, with no brain and no intellect, and he won't know the difference between good and bad. וכאשר חטא, and when he didn't listen to הקדוש ברוך הוא, what was the consequence of his avera? הביא לו חטאו את השלמות הגדולה הזו, המיוחדת לאדם. Man became special. He didn't listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and now he's a yodea tov vara. He won. That's what happened in Bereshit, no? He said, don't do this. And he did it, and now you know between good and bad. He has the same intellectual capabilities that we have. He's not an animal anymore. It's probably the most important thing we have is that we're not animals, that we're able to think, that we have critical thinking skills. That's what's great about a human being. And the questioner tells the Rambam, this is incredible. That the gift that he received when he broke the Torah was that he received a brain, an intellect, which he didn't have before. ואין זה אלא כאמירתו של מי שאמר בן אדם חטא והפליג ברשע ועל כן הפך לכוכב בשמיים. Like a person did such bad things, they ended up being a star in the sky. By the way, there's a Greek legend like this. A man who sins and becomes a god. In the words of an American singer, if you steal a little, they'll put you in prison. You steal a lot, they'll make you king. Something like that. You know, if you do a lot of avirot, you become very special. And so this man tells the Rambam, it doesn't make sense to me, the story here. Adam beforehand was an animal. And then he breaks the rules, he eats from the tree, and now he becomes an intelligent human being. That's the punishment? You agree with the question?
No.
How no? That's what happened. That's what happened in Bereshit.
No, but your face was
But he didn't know between good and bad. Now he knows between good and bad. That's the basic critical thinking you want from a human being.
Like the Shiviti says that we're going to make them Tzalmeinu. So, if I remember correctly, Rambam understands it as the intellect. But you see, the plan was ready initially before he violated this commandment that they had into. So it's not now that they're getting into this stuff.
Okay, Chesky is doing what I didn't ask him to do. He's answering the question. First, need to understand the question, but he's right. Well, that's good. Nobody understood Chesky, so it's good. Now we're going to see the next part. Says Rabbenu HaRambam, Shema et tochen teshuvatenu. Listen to our answer. Amarnu, we said to him, Ata ma'ayen behirurim rishonim u'machshavot mizdamnot. You read the Torah like it's some newspaper. You look at it, you read some pesukim, you have good questions. והחושב להבין ספר שהוא הדרכת הראשונים והאחרונים בכך שיעבור עליו במקצת הזמנים שהוא פנוי בהם מן השתייה והבעילה. He said, you're busy reading the Torah when your stomach is full in between when you're sleeping with your wife. He says, you think you're going to understand the Torah in those few minutes that you have when you look at the book? That's what you think you're going to understand? כמי שעובר על אחד מספרי ההיסטוריה או אחד מן השירים, like you're reading a history book or you're reading a song or poetry, you think that's how you read the Torah? התיישב בדעתך. Sit down with a serious head now, says the Rambam. ותראה שאין הדבר כפי שהעלית בחורך הראשונים, and realize that your question is wrong because you didn't even understand the Torah in the first place. אלא כפי שהתבאר מתוך העיון בדבר הזה. Let me explain to you, says the Rambam, exactly what happened to Adam HaRishon. So, how do they know what is good and bad? Now, because he ate from the tree. He ate from the tree.
Yeah, but what is the tree, Rabbi?
What is the tree? What is the snake? Before you talk about the tree, what is the snake? Okay. Do me a favor. Go back to Chacham Fa'or. Okay? Now that I read to you the question from Rambam, one Bukhim, Chacham Fa'or. Yes. Yeah. If you have questions that you can't go without them, then that's okay. But if you just want me to explain something again, I could do it after the shiur.
No, I understood previously that before they ate from the tree, they had a knowledge of truth, of absolute essence of what things are.
Are you answering the question, or you're answering? I didn't answer the question yet.
I'm just saying what I thought, and when you said that, what you said, it's what I understood was that understanding good and evil was a step down from where they were before.
Okay, that's obviously the case. So now let me explain why that's the case. You're right. Let me explain why you're right. Yeah? Okay, Marlene, I'm going to assume you're saying yes. So let's look back. Let's look back in page 59. The word nachash. Nachash means snake in Hebrew. There's another word like nachash in Hebrew. Lenachesh. What is lenachesh? That's Israeli. In Hebrew, what is lenachesh? Yeah, tell me. Yeah. A kind of magic. Divination in English, we say. In Hebrew, we say menachesh to guess because nobody's doing magic, right? But it's like the closest thing. I guess. I'm guessing something, yes?
Kishuf.
No, kishuf is different than nichush, but it's close. Okay, let's say it's close. It's where the English gets the phrase divinity from, divine. Divine is not a good thing in Hebrew. It's nichush is not a good thing. But that's how we use it in English, divine. Rabbi Yitzchak Abarbanen, in his commentary on the Torah in Bereshit, reads the following, page 59. And the snake was more cunning than all the animals of the field. It means, what does it mean? That Adam's imaginative faculty was more crafty than the imaginative faculty of all the other animals of the field. Because human imagination is capable of making syllogisms and arguments appearing to be true, transference of meaning. Remember those three words? Transference of meaning. Something that the imagination of other animals cannot do. The snake was regarded by the rabbis as symbolic of the imaginative faculty because the imagination, which is peculiar to menachashim, leads to corruption. The nachash is symbolic of the menachashim. Menachashim always lead to corruption. It happens to corruption because people do what's called transference of meaning. Here I'm going to explain to you what that means. Says Chavaur, divination is not only the most primitive form of religion, but more importantly, represents transference of meaning, whereby a given phenomenon or object is associated with a specific augury and is perceived not as it is per se, but as something else. What is a menachesh? A white bird flew over my house this week. That means I'm going to have good news in my house this week. I was driving on the road and I saw a black cat. Black cat means bad luck. Black crow means bad luck. I was checking my mezuzah and I'm going to do it to you. Yeah, the same thing. Yeah, something happened to me. I tripped over the bima, the tevan, the Beit HaKnesset, and that means I'm going to fail the Torah. That's nichush. What happened was you were stupid. You didn't look where you were going. You tripped over the table. Nothing more than that happened to you. A bird flew over your house. You know how many birds fly over your house? Happens to be today you were barbecuing, so you sat in the backyard looking in the sky. You were waiting for the steak to finish. You saw the bird. It doesn't mean anything more than what you think it means. But menachashim are kings of convincing people the things they see are more than what they think it means. We have a lot of
similar stuff in the Gemara, Rabbi.
Wait, one. Now I'm doing more nevuchim. So, says Chavaur, this is common in schizophrenics. What are schizophrenics? I don't make fun of anybody with mental health issues. What is this? What is schizophrenia? The bottom line is a disconnect from reality. Yeah, I'm not. Maybe can give you a better definition. A distortion of reality. What they hear something. Most of the time, it's audible. Yeah, they saw. Someone told me to do it. They're hearing and seeing things that you and I are not seeing and hearing. It's no different than the person who sees and hears things that happen, but that's not what actually happened. It's also present in the thought development of a child. Children have imagination. Says Chamfaor, let's say a kid is playing with a stick. What happened to me once with Avinoam when he was little? I told Avinoam, at Shabbat, you can't take a stick from the park. What do you tell me?
Not a stick, it's a sword.
Abba, it's not a stick, it's a sword. Like, how dare you think that what I'm holding is a stick? Yeah? No, he's right. Sacham V'or says, a child plays with a stick, but he tells you, look at my little horse. Yeah? Look at my little submarine. It's not a submarine. It's an empty iced tea bottle. That's what it is. But when you're 3 or 5 or 7, you play with your toys. It's funny. But if somebody says, hey, take your submarine off my desk, you look at him, crazy. Yeah? Or, hey, little kid, don't play with a sword. He's holding a stick. Are you out of here? You're the crazy adult in the room. Yeah? I mean, what's healthy for a child, it's not healthy for an adult. Because you're crazy. Because you are living in a distorted reality. So now what happens with Adam HaRishon? Adam HaRishon, he used to live in a world where he knew sheker and emet. He knew things were true and things were false. All Adam HaRishon did in the world was get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu who created him. That was the purpose of mankind. And then what happens is, all of a sudden he meets a snake, meaning a snake in Gan Eden. He's meeting himself, the imagination version. The one that can imagine things. What is Chava eats from the tree? Why does she eat from the tree? What does it say about her? She sees the tree, and it's so beautiful, and the fruit looks like it tastes so good, and everything is so wonderful. Wow, the tree is gorgeous. Yesterday the tree wasn't gorgeous? What makes a tree gorgeous? Yesterday, Benit told one of my daughters that her shirt doesn't match her skirt. And I said, I want to understand. Why not? And this is maybe not the right question. Maybe I sound like the idiot in the room. Yeah. And the Rabbi said, well, because those are two colors that don't match. I said, but why don't they match? Who decides that this color doesn't match that color? It's emet or sheker that those things don't match? There's no emet and sheker about they match. Emet is that color is blue. That's emet. Sheker, that color is not pink. True. Good and bad is very, very, very subjective. This, in English, is called convention. Convention. When something is conventional, it means it's what society accepts as good and bad. In your lifetime, has society's definitions of good and bad changed? Is there any topic you can point to and say, I remember not so long ago that this was a problem. I remember not so long ago this was okay. And now I'm not even so long afterwards and society has changed. So what is good and bad? How do I know what's good and bad? According to Rabbenu HaRambam, we're not dealing in a realm of good and bad. Good and bad is all part of the world of corruption. It's transferring meaning onto things that isn't actually there. Adam HaRishon used to live in a reality of emet and sheker. And now that he decided to pervert his mind by doing what HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want him to do, he now lives in a lower reality. A reality of Yodei Tov V'Ra. You become now like Elohim, not like God. You become like political leaders. The job of political leaders is to tell you, this is good, this is bad, and all of you sheep better agree with me about what is good and what is bad. What do the politicians do? Their mass hysteria is part of what they're good at. Why do they do it? It's how you control people. It's how you manipulate people by telling them, this thing, I told you another joke. I showed Rachel in one of the books about an Ashkenazi minhag. If a couple doesn't do this minhag, they won't have children. Who says that? Somebody who thinks he's a Yodei Tov V'Ra. I want you to do something, so I'm going to scare you into compliance. And this is something that the leaders of the earth are very, very good at doing. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Adam HaRishon and to Chava, I want you not to eat from that tree, meaning I don't want you to ruin your mind. Because the moment you play around with your imagination, your brain will never go back to where it came from. And once you do that, I can't leave you in Gan Eden anymore. Because in Gan Eden, pen tishtach, maybe you're going to do more damage. Because you are already living in a skewed reality. You now think of trees not as, listen, you have so many trees to eat from. How can we give you trees to eat from? Now you're not thinking anymore about trees I can eat, trees I don't eat from. I think, well, that looks like a delicious tree. Why? Why tree? Our HaChamim call the Yetzer Hara also the Satan. Why a Satan? The Arabs, they believe in a shaitan. The Christians in a Satan. There's another force in the world, like a guy with the red horns, and he fights a Kadosh Baruch Hu all day long in some boxing match. And it's a silly little thing to believe in. But that's what they believe in. What does Satan mean in Hebrew?
He tricks you.
To trick. The root of the word Satan? Okay, lastin, there's one use. One use of lastin is what?
Adversaries.
Binam lisitno, to hold him back. Look at Chacham Faor on page 62, also from the root of Sata. Sata. Yeah, why? Don't get stuck on the letters. Yeah, of course. Shin and Samich. Meaning, to cause you to pervert the way a soteh, a pervert person is a soteh. Why? Like a woman is a sotah. That's why our Chachamim always compare, Shlomo HaMelech in Mishlei, for example, compares a person's Yetzer Hara to a woman. There's the Eshet Chayim, Mimsa. You also have the woman who causes you to, she seduces you. In Greek mythology, you also have these sirens, you guys read Homer, the Odyssey. Yeah? Sirens on the side of the sea, causing the sailors to crash. We understand the power of seduction that a woman has. It's not a man thinking clearly. It's a man thinking very not clearly what he follows after a woman. I mean, he's making bad decisions for his life because his Yetzer Hara is causing him to do things he shouldn't do. That's what Shlomo HaMelech's mother tells him. Al titen chelcha lenashim. Don't give too much of your energy to war. Don't let your life be pulled in that direction. You're never going to come back from it. In Rabbenu HaRambam's world, you can understand reality only based on reality. There were Chachamim in the Rambam's time, a Muslim group, that had a very interesting philosophy. It was an Orthodox Jewish philosophy. They were called, the Rambam calls them in Arabic, I'm not an expert Arabic. They're called... He writes here, one second. I wrote it down here. On page 63. Mutakalimun. I'm clearly ruining that pronunciation. They are part of a philosophy called Kalam. Orthodoxy. That's not true. I'm just translating like that. They regarded imagination as the criterion by which to distinguish between possible and impossible. Everything imaginable is probable and may be found in nature. God can do everything. There might be unicorns. There may be mermaids. I recently spoke with a Talmid Chacham who told me, how do you know there are no mermaids? I actually don't even know that I have to answer that question. They thought God can do everything. So if God can do everything, there's nothing impossible. So really, if you tell me that you saw yesterday a human being with 7 legs walk past your car, yeah, you're not delusional. You just saw a wonder of creation that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created. Says the Rambam, could HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? Yes. But if you live in a reality where everything is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu might be able to do, if you remember a few years back, there was a story in New York about a fish that started talking to everybody. The kosher fish, you know what I'm talking about? You think I'm joking? 1 second, hold on. Where's my phone? You don't believe me. Yeah? There's a kosher fish he was talking. Now, could a fish talk? Listen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's reality, yeah, the sea could split too, right? Isn't... Can I, you're not going to believe until I tell you.
It was my grandmother's fish store.
Don't say it out loud, Rabbanit. Okay? In the New York Times.
Mr. Rose was the one who was...
Miracle? Oh, I don't have an account in the New York Times. I'm just saying... BBC News. Talking fish stuns New York. The New York Times. Miracle, dream, prank, fish talks, town buzzes.
They ended up burying it in the cemetery because they said it was a...
The San Francisco Gate, tale of talking fish shakes the Hasidic sect. Were there warnings of prophecy, or was it a Purim prank? They ended up burying the fish in some cemetery, the Rabbani told me. I don't know.
No, they brought
You-
the Chevra Kaddish.
You have a community of people who say, maybe the fish in the fish store talked. Now says the Rambam something fascinating. I'm ending you with this, guys. I know we have to do slichot. I'm sorry that I have to end here. But I know we have to do slichot. Says Rabbenu HaRambam,
I guess the imagination becomes probable.
according to them, there is no reason why there cannot be a man with multiple heads, tall as a mountain, or an elephant, small as a tick, or a tick as large as an elephant. The preceding excludes the possibility of a scientific comprehension of nature because, quote, whatever they deem imaginable is possible, regardless of whether or not it may be corroborated by facts. Whatever cannot be imagined is impossible. If I can't think about it, it's impossible. Because theories cannot be corroborated by facts, independent scientific research and experimentation is impossible. Hence, the imperative to submit to authority to determine what is possible and what is impossible in the same manner that one is required to submit to authority to determine what is good, evil, proper, improper, and all that which pertains to the realm of conventionality. In this type of science, truth and falsehood is a function of the same system of conventionalities, determining the content of good and evil. It is essentially political. I can't tell you anymore if fish can talk or not. My rabbi said fish can talk. And because my rabbi told me fish can talk, who said that your research of fish and all the fish you ever found in the ocean, none of them could talk? You didn't find the fish that could talk yet. That's why. Well, you can't imagine that God can make a fish talk.
Tried to kill a fish with a knife the size of a machete. But the fish began to flop around, and instead he missed the large 20-pound carp and ended up cutting his own thumb.
Of course.
And the fish told him that the end is near, and the end is coming.
This is delusion.
No,
Yeah, she was. No, it could be. I don't know. It could be. It could be. Says Chacham Faor, what happens? What happens? At the end of the day, what are you taught? You're taught that you're not allowed to think for yourself. It's what your professor tells you is true or not true. It's what your politician tells you is true or not true. It's whatever your favorite talk show host tells you. You don't decide anymore what is good and what is bad because you have no way to independently verify anything because you're not allowed to use your brain. And therefore ends off Rabbenu HaRambam. That he will be like Elohim does not mean he'll be like God. It means he'll be like that crazy political system of bullies that causes people not to be able to think clearly. By specifying that Elohim here refers to those having the power to regulate good and evil, that is the realm of the conventional, the snake was ascertaining that by Elohim, political authority was intended. In the same chapter, Rambam cited a pasuk that says humans are a little less than Elohim. Within that context, it means an angel, a messenger of God. Adam had the choice of reason, in which case he would have been a messenger of God. He also had the choice of imagination, leading to political mastery. The subsequent development of humankind would depend on this choice. Rabbenu HaRambam tells us that a human being in his whole life has two choices: to live in reality or to live in imagination. And if you live in imagination, you only can imagine just how bad and evil a human being can become. And if you live in reality, that is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then you will learn how to make proper decisions. This book of the Moreh Nevuchim was burned for a reason. Because nobody liked it. Because it made a lot of people upset. And so you find many Jews that study the Mishneh Torah by ignoring the Moreh Nevuchim. And I'm telling you tonight that we're back in the 5th chapter of Rabbenu HaRambam's Mishneh Torah. And there's no way you can read the Mishneh Torah by ignoring the Moreh Nevuchim. And if I can, I know it's 9:02, the last sentence that we read from Rabbenu HaRambam in the Mishneh Torah itself. What did the Rambam tell us? He started off, Reshut kol adam netuna lo. Everybody has free will. אם רצה להטות עצמו לדרך טובה להיות צדיק, הרשות בידו. ואם רצה להטות עצמו לדרך רעה להיות רשע, הרשות בידו. If you want to choose to be good, you can be good. You want to choose to be bad, you can be bad. הוא שכתוב בתורה, that's what it means in the Torah. הן האדם היה כאחד ממנו לדעת טוב ורע. This struggle here of knowing tov v'ra, it's not a struggle between knowing good and bad. That's how most people interpret the Pasuk in Bereshit. A person has to make a choice between good and bad. No. A person has to make a choice between reality and imagination. In the realm of imagination, facts don't matter. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's truth doesn't matter. When Adam HaRishon makes a choice, I don't want to deal with HaKadosh Baruch Hu anymore. By the way, why was he naked now? It says he opened up his eyes. What happened to Adam HaRishon's eyes? Now they were closed like Michael, and then he opened them like the Rabbenu. What happened? What happened? No, I'm just picking, yeah?
Mine were closed before, don't worry.
No, what happens? They were the same eyes, so what happens? Nothing happens. The only thing that changes is that they feel embarrassed. Not that in the world before, is it a lie? Is it bad to be naked? All the animals in the world are naked. The dog feels naked. He goes to hide in the bushes when you come home. I don't want to see you naked. He's afraid. Adam HaRishon develops an imagination. And his imagination gives in to the pressures of society. And Adam HaRishon's society is telling him it's a bad thing to be naked. So when the one who creates him comes looking for him, he goes to hide in the bushes. Why am I hiding in the bushes? Because I'm scared. What are you scared of? You've heard HaKadosh Baruch Hu before. Yeah, but now I have an imagination. I heard big footsteps in the garden. I heard someone coming to look at me in the locker room. I had someone. That imagination, that fear that Adam HaRishon feels, is because now he's no longer a slave to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now he's a slave to society. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, midah keneged midah. You want to be a slave to the world? Go. You don't belong here. You want to work for other people? Go work the earth. Your wife will give birth in suffering. You will have to work hard and sweat to bring home food. If that's the life that you want, I give it to you. Chaval, because you could have lived a better life. That's what happens in Rosh Hashanah. What happens now, we're going to say these words, we're doing this job because I don't want to end up like Adam HaRishon. I don't want to be thrown out of Gan Eden. We're going to say Yom Kippurim. Yiviuni legan edna v'sham tehem menuchati. They're going to bring me to Gan Eden one day. One day I'm going to have a chance to go back there. Am I going to be ready? Or am I going to come back there with talking fish and magical bracelets and all kinds of other shtuyot that I brought from here, from a world that told me this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. It's all subjective. It's all not true. The only thing that is true, there is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me how to live my life. Everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me to do is within the realm of reality. And all of the reasons I don't serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu are because my imagination is getting in the way of my reality. That's the choice that we have to make.